Så Birgitte, hvad laver du?
Jamen, jeg er så småt ved at pakke, til vi skal afsted lige om lidt.
Glæder du dig?
Ja, mega meget. Jeg er også nervøs. Vi kan ikke stå og have den her diskussion i den situation, vi står i lige nu.
Birgitte Dede is a well-known climate activist. For years she has fought to stop the climate change. But it's hard to keep up the spirit.
Jeg har holdt møder, jeg har skrevet kronikker, jeg har holdt taler. Nogle gange har jeg ligget på togskinner og blokeret kulminer. Og værktøjskassen er jo enormt stor, men jeg savner en retning lige nu. Jeg savner noget inspiration i forhold til, hvad er det for nogle værktøjer, vi tager i brug nu? For klimabevægelsen er et andet sted, end vi var for 5 år siden, da jeg kom med. Det er jo nogle sindssyge mennesker, vi skal møde. Altså mega seje.
We are on our way to South Africa, a country 28 times larger than Denmark, and with a population of 64 million people. Here on the eastern side is an area called the Wild Coast. The Wild Coast is considered one of the most unspoiled areas of South Africa. An area called Pondoland is home for about 50,000 people. We are going to meet some of them.
My name is Nonhle Mbutuma, and I'm born and bred here. I've grown up here. I never go anywhere else.
The local Amadibas are an indigenous people who for centuries lived in harmony with nature on land and by the sea.
Everybody is doing something, and we are busy. We are really busy. That's why many people, when they come here, they said, here there's a high rate of unemployment. People are not doing anything. It's an insult to us because we are self-employed.
Between the sparse dwellings, people grow vegetables, potatoes and corn. Every household has cows, calves, goats, chickens and sheep. All work is done by hand, and everyone is completely self-sufficient.
We almost there.
So maybe I didn't catch where we are heading. Is straight ahead?
Corner here, we're gonna turn and follow the path goes straight to Nonhle's.
And this is Nonhle's family living here?
Yes, this is where Nonhle's family is living.
Wow. Hey. Ikke snakketypen.
Birgitte, nu er du kommet til Sigidi Village. Hvad er førstehåndsindtrykket?
Jamen her er sindssygt grønt, og så er der ro.
Hvordan turen herned fra motorvej til landevej til bumlevej?
Jamen vi kom jo fra storbyen Durban og ud af de store veje, og så langsomt så blev det mindre og mindre, til vi jo nærmest bare kørte over græsset herhen. Allerede på vej herhen i bilen snakkede med vores kammerat Cromwell, som er en del af Amadiba Crisis Committee her, og ligesom fik første blik i deres arbejde. Og der er jo nogle kontekster, der er helt forskellige, og nogle helt anderledes udfordringer, de står overfor. Også meget fysiske, voldelige udfordringer. Og så er der alligevel nogle ting, der er ens.
Så du kommer her også for at lære noget om deres klimakamp hernede?
Helt klart. Jeg håber på at lære en masse om, hvordan de mobiliserer, og hvilke værktøjer de bruger. De har jo senest vundet over Shell i retten.
But there are snakes in the paradise. International mining companies are looking for titanium, and big oil companies want to extract oil off the Virgin Coast.
The reason why Amadiba Crisis Committee popped up, there was an Australian company that they discovered titanium, the mineral, that they discovered in our coastal area.
Along the Amadiba coastline is the world's 10th largest deposit of titanium. Without approval from the locals, an Australian company acquired the mining rights. But mining would have a large impact on the area. Amadiba land would be affected and 1,500 people would relocate.
Why this titanium is so important? Those were the questions that we're asking. Because we can't eat titanium. We eat food. We eat potatoes. We eat sweet potatoes. We eat terra yams. We eat veggies that we grow here. We eat mealies. Now, if you said we must give away this land for titanium, what are we going to eat? After we tried to speak to the Australian, it was not easy to be listened by the Australian company, by our own government. And then we decided to go to court. The court, it was our last resort.
After long and endless negotiation, the case ended up in court. The locals weren't heard, and titanium mining created environmental problems.
All the time when big corporates, they come to our communities, they are given to decide what is good for us. It's not right. That is why we were demanding the right to say no.
During the course of our oral submissions, is to address...
But during the case against the mining company, the state advocate maintained that this right did not apply to the Amadibas. The judge did not agree. The Amadibas had the rights to their own land, and the mining plans were halted. A giant victory for the Amadibas. Noncle Mbutuna from the Amadiba Crisis Committee, or ACC, is far from the only person Birgitte is meeting here in South Africa. During our trip, we will be meeting lawyers, judges, and organizations. What they all have in common is that they have helped the locals preserve their unique lands and waters by the coast.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Thank you. Thanks a lot for taking your time to meet us.
Very welcome.
I've been a bit excited because I heard about you. And I also heard a story that I barely believed to be true, but that you and others took Shell to court and you won.
What you hear is true.
Seldom has an environmental issue got people as worked up as much as the Shell seismic survey controversy.
When we hear that Shell want to do exploration in our ocean, we were really being disturbed to hear that, because we know what ocean means to us.
That a small group of indigenous people were able to win in court by arguing the right to say no is a theme that reoccurs in the court case against Shell.
At the moment, our law stands, if it is development on land and it is customary land, like the Amadiba's land, that community has the right to say no. They have a consent right.
The lawyer Wilmian Vikomp is one of the lawyers who helped the ACC with their court case. In the case against Shell, they only had 1 month to prepare.
So you had 1 month from you figure out what is going on, you prep it all, and there's a verdict coming out, Shell has to stop. That sounds like an intense month. How was that?
Yes. So that was an incredibly intense month. If we had not known the communities, if it was strangers who came to my door and said, we want to interdict Shell and you have to launch the case in 10 days, it would have probably been impossible.
In the media, Noncle and the ACC could read about that Shell's permission to carry out seismic testing.
They blast the ocean. They bomb. You know, when you blast, there are animals that are living there, and they're going to die.
This made the ACC initiate a court case against the British oil giant, this time using the same legal arguments as against the mining company. Even though we are the little people, we still have to be heard, they said, an argument which their lawyers made again and again.
For many years, we had been pushing the courts to start taking Indigenous customary rights seriously. And that really signaled a change in the way that would not have happened 10 years ago. It signaled an important change in the way that our courts understand the rights of rural communities.
During the trial, it transpired that the indigenous peoples are protected in the South African Constitution, and that Shell had no go-ahead from the Amadibas when they applied to explore for oil and gas in 2014.
You know, in 2014, when Shell did their consultations, it was a different world. It was a world in which they could still think that they could get away with ignoring local communities.
During the visit to the village of Sigidi, Birgitte is enjoying the quietness. But there's a lot to learn for the Danish climate activist.
Der er en ro og også en mental ro, fornemmer man. Men at det jo heller ikke er kommet gratis.
Så du er jo taget herned for at lære af dem. Så hvad har du lært?
Noget af det, der sidder i mig lige nu, er det her med altså forståelsen af, som vi jo godt kan gå og sige logisk derhjemme, men det er noget andet at forstå det, at det er en lang kamp. Forandring tager tid, og de har været igennem mange gange nu, også over generationerne. Så jeg tror ikke, vi kan kopiere det her en til en, men jeg tror, der er masser, vi kan lære fra det alligevel.
We leave Sigidi and the Wild Coast and make our way to Cape Town. We are meeting more people who can inspire Birgitte's climate activism.
Jeg forventer, at vi skal møde nogle mennesker, der er sindssygt glade for og stolte af deres arbejde. Og som godt ved, at de har lavet et kæmpe arbejde, ikke for dem selv, men for os alle sammen. Fordi det her også sætter præcedens. yeah, thanks.
So now I'm gonna fetch one or two more I've got.
What is the people's dialogue?
Yeah, take.
Take.
My name is Moshe Andrews. I'm South African. I am an activist, feminist activist, radical feminist activist.
Are you waiting for me?
TCOE is an over 40-year-old NGO who fights for better land rights. The black part of the population today owns only 13% of the land. 70% is owned by whites, who only make up 10% of the population.
I think what influences a lot, it's in the history of Pondo people to have, we have a long tradition, a long history of resistance, a long history of fight back against colonialism, against apartheid, against mining companies, etc. So there is a very important thread that I think this Amadiba is drawing on, and the community is drawing on, a very important lineage. Yeah.
Nongle has no doubt about the importance of her forefathers' struggles.
Nongle, how did you become active politically? I mean, was it given from childhood that you were one of these people, or was it something that happened later?
Yeah, I think my activism has been influenced by my grandparents.
Yeah?
My grandparents were part of the Pondo Revolt, which was the struggle of land against the British colony when British come to Africa to try to colonize Africa. Now, in Pondo land, British tried to steal the land, but Pondo land is one of the small pieces that survived from the British colony. Now, being raised by my grandparents, they were always putting me in a homeschooling of the history, because this history I didn't get from school. There was nothing in the curriculum, but I learned from them that how did they defend the land.
Anti-mining activist Jesper Lambæk was killed 10 days ago. He was shot multiple times.
The fight against the Australian mining company sparked years of threats against the ACC spokespeople. In 2016, spokesperson Basuka Radebe was brutally murdered in front of his home. According to eyewitnesses, 2 men wearing police uniforms shot and killed the ACC activist. The case has never been solved.
Now, here in the rural areas, it's quite difficult to access the media. It's a very remote areas where nobody knows what is happening. Unfortunately, Basuka Radebe, he was being assassinated at his own home in front of his kids.
Yeah.
Since the murder, Nongle has received death threats via phone and text messages. She is protected by armed bodyguards at all times.
Now, I was brave to go out and speak out against the big giants. Now, in order to silence or to kill the information, you must kill the person that speaks. I'm still on the hit list, and I've received quite a lot of death threats, SMSs. Myself, after Basuka was being murdered, I've opened cases at the police about those SMSs, but also the investigation is not going anywhere. But I decided also to speak to the environmental organization to be supported for my security. Otherwise, I was just see that I'm really, really vulnerable. If I continue to live my normal life, I won't make it. And the support for some bodyguards, that's what it keep me alive today, because of that support from those environmental organizations that they support for funding for bodyguards.
Oh, wow. Okay, this is your room with all the campaign material.
Our history is a long history with Amadiba Crisis Committee.
To Brian Ashley, who helped finance the bodyguards, it is important to spread out the ACC leadership in order to keep people safe.
The long-term relationship is focused around building the institutional structures and capacities of Amadiba Crisis Committee to resist. And what we've particularly done is to focus on broadening the leadership, so there's less reliant on one or two leaders to be able to take the struggle forward. That's the challenge in many grassroots organizations today, but it's particular in Amadiba Crisis Committee. Now in a situation where they are threatened with death, where we've had leaders already assassinated, we can't afford to have that dependency and reliance. We need to broaden the leadership.
The very real threats against Noncle are seen at a chaotic information meeting in Pondoland in 2019.
There was a threat before from two guys looking at Noncle, but I think it's okay now. See us order, okay.
They face extreme challenges. There are security challenges, which are very intense, and we worry about the security of key leaders of the Amadiba Crisis Committee, because there's a silly notion amongst people who are the enemies of the people of Pondoland and the Amadiba Crisis Committee, who think if we take out Noncle, if we take out this one, then we solve the problem. That'll be the end of it.
When do you feel weak or burned out? And when do you feel strong?
Yeah, this struggle is quite been long, but it's very painful because we've already lost lives during this struggle. And we also have death threats that we are facing. Yeah. There is a time where you feel powerless. You even think, is this worth it to continue? But we're not closing the eyes.
Ayunayo into idlala umpela ngoba nguyosincedisa kwezi zinto silwa nazo. Kwezimpi zonke ezifikayo sincediswa nguye. Hayi ndingathi uPaula mna niyasincedisa kwezi zinto kuba phela impela ezimpi silwa nazo zinzima. Siyasibona ukuthi asazi basizipasa kanjani. Kodwa ke sibona sizipasa ngoba nakho nikhona nesilindele isimelele. Yiyo ke into endithi mina iyasijabulisa kuthi.
Have you been working with Noncle?
Very much so, yeah.
How is she to work with?
She's a comrade who is able to always see the tactical and strategic questions and think very deeply about how she is going to have to confront those issues in ways that can build her organization and mobilize a broader number of people. She's very much aware of strategy and tactics. She's got what we say in activist circles, a nose it's an instinct. One of the things that is extremely important about Nonhle is her bravery and courage. So, you know, she will go into places where there's lots of danger, but fearlessly. And again, in the situation that we are, that's an absolutely vital quality.
From 1948 to the early 90s, South Africa was under a rule of apartheid. The white population had a strong racist hegemony that discriminated against all other population in South Africa. Another who has lived with threats and violence is the former judge and author Albie Sachs.
Inspiring.
During apartheid, he was in and out of prison.
1988, I'm blown up.
The bomb exploded just as Professor Albie Sachs opened his car door. Doctors gave him little chance of survival.
I'm in Mozambique, living in exile, working on building up the new justice system in the country.
Albie Sachs is the victim of a bombing. He loses an arm and the sight of one eye.
They saved my life. In hospital, I go to England, I recover, and now I can start planning for a new constitution for South Africa.
When South Africa instituted democracy in 1994, Albie Sachs and his co-authors added a new right to the constitution, which at that time had not been seen anywhere before.
Environmental rights.
Aye.
First country in the world, I think,
then, yeah.
to place environmental rights as a fundamental right. Constitutional right, not just a good thing to have, not just another law, but the rights of people to have protected environment. You know, the earth means so much to South Africans. For black people in particular, and the connection isn't just to live on a piece of land. It's connection with the water, with the rocks, with the soil, with the tree, with the bark. It's very close. It's very profound.
Home is where you are being connected. That's how we treat ocean. Because our ancestors are residing in the ocean. Our ancestors are residing in the water. Now, if you disturb the ocean, you are disconnecting us as human beings from our ancestors, from our spiritual practice, which is our constitutional right. South Africa, we have the best constitution in the world. We can be proud of that.
Even though the South African constitution in many ways are unique, the question remains if environmental rights can stop economic development in one of the world's most unequal societies.
Big mining houses can come from all over the world. Very welcome to South Africa. We love you to be invested, to invest and to participate. But don't try to change the basic rules of the way we live in the country in the sense of basic fairness, basic respect for humanity, basic procedures of involving all communities, and you'll get better results in the long run.
So what does the Constitutional Court bring in these cases where we see big corporations coming in to grab culture or land where people are living? What role does the court play?
The judges are a little more polite in their language, so we don't speak about grab. We speak about And the fact that they are big corporations or small corporations itself is not important, but the disproportion of power is often spoken about, and that can be in male-female relations, it can be employer-employee relations, and it can be in economic power being directed against people who economically are very disempowered. Of course we need economic development. We have to have it. We have to enable millions of people to rise up out of poverty, and we're going to need the resources for that. But it can't be at the cost, not only of our physical environment, but of our cultural environment, of the dignity of the people concerned.
That development should not come at the cost of people and the environment is already a central part of Birgitte's climate work.
Derfor kæmper vi jo alle sammen mod den her fortælling om, hvad er udvikling? Hvem er den for? Kan det passe, at så få mennesker skal eje så stor en andel af verdens rigdom på bekostning af de mange? Og det er en kamp, vi har til fælles. Den tager forskellige udtryk, men det er en kamp, vi har til fælles. Jeg har brug for hjælp til at forstå, hvordan verden ser ud fra andre perspektiver. Og jeg har brug for bare inspiration fra kammerater, der står i samme kamp til, hvordan fanden, undskyld mit sprog, hvordan hulen organiserer vi?
Vinicia Govinda is a human rights advocate. For 25 years, she has worked for democracy in several African countries. And the Amadiba struggle is a benchmark for many others.
We may not recognize it, but they're organized.
That are small indigenous people from the wild coast of East and South Africa even have a chance of winning against multinational companies who, together with the authorities, fast-tracked oil and mining permission is due to the Amadiba's strong organizational skills.
You know, taking the community along with them requires a lot, and they're committed to that. We need to recognize that support to these grassroots community, to be able to organize, but not to organize in a way that we assume they should be organized, but recognizing that actually all of these communities are organized, you know, and there's this dialogue and informing people and being very transparent. And that's really the hard choice. It's easier to make decisions. And so there's engagements, and the entire community is aware of the case. They know what it's about. And I think that is the ideal, you know, and it's that relationship again, if you look at this case.
Organizing well is a crucial factor in the successes of the Amadibas, says a number of organizations we meet on our journey.
Whenever there is a critical issue that's unfolding in the area, they are able to bring out the broader number of people. So, you know, it's a committee of 10, 12, 14 people, but because of the organic links to the different villages, the Amadiba Crisis Committee is really the community, and the community is the Amadiba Crisis Committee.
The most important lesson is that when people are organized and informed and conscious of their rights, they can resist. That, I think, is quite an important lesson.
What does it mean to be organized?
To be organized means that you belong consciously to an organization of your choice. Nobody forces you. You join an organization. You go to meetings. You go to protests. You resist. You develop strategies. You act as part of a collective. That's what it means to be organized.
The moment where I feel strong is where I'm surrounded with the community. My community, also I see that they are up, they are strong. They said, we will win this, we will win this. And then I see I'm not alone. Because if you are not with your community, you feel lonely. But here, we have strong community that is putting hands together, and they keep telling us that no matter how difficult, but we will win this.
The Amadiba Crisis Committee, which is creating problems in terms of challenging implementation of the project.
Sandra must stop this project. We as community members make sacrifices and are putting our livelihood and our life on the line.
A new struggle has already started. This time, it's about a plan for a highway along the Amadiba coastline. The N2 highway will have a great impact on the wild Amadiba coastline, where wilderness and sacred burial sites will be ruined. 84 farms will lose land or forcibly be expropriated. Unlike the mining and oil projects, the Amadibas don't want to stop the project. The new highway simply has to be moved inland. One of the older residents of Sigidi sums it up like this. One organization helping the Amadibas get the highway moved inland calls it a strategic victory.
Here, one has to acknowledge the brilliance of the tactical awareness of the Amadiba Crisis Committee. When they were confronted with the expansion of the N2 going through their land, they didn't say, no, we don't want the N2. What they said is, no, let's move the N2 inland. So they didn't go with a rejectionist strategy. Now, to justify the alternative route promoted, we needed to get engineers that were able to, in a compelling and qualified way, show that this is a viable route. That's exactly what we did. We were able to identify progressive engineers, development economists, and architects, etc., that could help and work with Amadiba Crisis Committee over a long period of time.
Remember their office burnt.
Mercia Andrews from the TCOE also supports moving the highway.
Yeah, our office burnt.
We say we want to farm agroecologically. We want to have livestock. We want to have ecotourism. We don't want the road to go through this pristine ecosystem that exists here. So we can resist, and therefore the important thing that Amadiba has initiated is that we don't reject the idea of a road. We think it's important, but we think the road should go like this.
During a public meeting, the director of the road agency tried to describe the many advantages of the new road.
Nami ngiyibonile ngoba ngize ngayo namhlanje. Okubalekile thina esingakwenza. UCentral akavumelekile ukuthi adevelop ama-provincial roads. Imigwaqo ka-province. Kodwa sacela kungqongqoshe ophumile. Wasinika imvume yokuthi uma senza iproject yethu njengoba senza, So bengithi ngelimisa lokho ukuthi ezinye inkinga zenu siyazizwa nathi ukuthi isizwe samampondo sithuthuke.
But Noncle was quick to reply.
Asasike sisifake isicelo. Ubukhona umuntu okafaka isicelo apha endini, bafanele akaphakamisa. Athi ndikhona mina ndasifaka isicelo sika-freeway. Njengoba sisisho sithi uphuhliso, njengoba sithi ngabantu bakahulumende, uthi uhulumende wase-South Africa uphuhliso lusukaphi? Phansi. Musabe-ke ukuthi siyahlupheka. Uba besihlupheka ngase siye emizini yenu siyonkinqa. Asikaze siyonkinqa emizini yenu. Ngenxa yoba sihlupheki. Siyalima ngaphansi. Silima ubhatata, silima amadumbe, menifuna futhi singaniphakela ngoku. Hayi kusasa siyafutha. Singaniphakela ngoku. Singaniphakela ngoku. Yiyo-ke ngoku le nto sithi-ke hambani nigoduke, nithathe izinto zenu, nihambe nigoduke. Enkosi. Sala abantu bakwaSandral basishiye, basivile basithini.
Birgitte, vi er ved at være ved vejs ende. Hvordan har turen været?
Jamen, turen her har været en intens tur på mange måder. Virkelig blevet kastet rundt mellem mange aktører og indtryk og oplevelser. Og det er først lige ved at falde på plads i mit hoved også. Og nu en ting er, at det falder på plads her, men noget andet er jo så at komme hjem til en anden kontekst, og som så alligevel har nogle af de samme tråde, der går igen.
Kan du prøve at beskrive, hvad det er, du vil tage med dig hjem til Global Aktion og til din danske klimabevægelse?
Jeg tror sådan lige nu, som vi sidder her på den sidste dag, og alting flagrer stadig lidt rundt, så er der sådan 2 ting, der sidder i mig, som jeg tager med mig hjem på flyet nu her. Klimakampen skal føres med folk i hele verden. Ikke fordi, at vi har ondt af folk andre steder i verden, men fordi vi er kammerater i den samme kamp. Og det kan godt være, at den kamp ser forskellig ud forskellige steder. Og derfor skal vi bakke op om hinanden. Det er en helt anden situation at stå i Sigidi, end det er hjemme i Danmark. Men vi skal også gøre det, fordi at vi er kammerater, og vi er nødt til at have hinanden i det her. Og det system, der lige nu truer folk i Sigidi, er også til stede hjemme i Danmark. Og det er derfor, det er så vigtigt, at vi lærer de her spørgsmål med, hvem er det, der skal sætte retningen for vores samfund. Og det leder ligesom videre til, jeg tror, den anden ting, jeg tager med mig hjem, som er gået igen med alle, vi har snakket med. At det kan godt være, at vi ligesom har prøvet at fortælle en historie om Noncle, fordi det er en god fortælling, ikke? Men folk har jo hele tiden sagt, at det her det er et samarbejde med så mange forskellige mennesker. Det er et samarbejde på så mange niveauer, vi er nødt til at have det lokale niveau. Ikke engang bare nogen, der kommer udenfra og snakker med det lokale niveau, men Noncle og hendes kammerater er jo det lokale. Vi er nødt til at have det nationale, hvor folk er stået sammen på de mange forskellige strande. Vi er nødt til at have det internationale niveau, hvor vi også er med hjemme i Danmark. Vi er nødt til ikke bare at have det i lige præcis det her øjeblik i tid, men vi er nødt til at have det over lang tid. Og det får mig også til at tænke, at vi vil gerne fremstille det her som Davids kamp mod Goliat. Og når man sådan lige umiddelbart kigger på det, så kan det jo godt se sådan ud, især når man kun ser toppen af isbjerget. Men den her enkelte kamp er jo ikke vundet, fordi der skete et eller andet helt magisk. Den er vundet på grund af benhårdt arbejde fra rigtig mange mennesker. Og når vi står sammen, så er vi ikke David. Så er vi en kæmpe stærk kraft. Vi er ikke små. Og det tager jeg virkelig med mig. Og det håber jeg også, kan inspirere folk derhjemme til at sige, at det ikke er en fortælling om, at du skal gå ud og ændre verden. Det er en fortælling om, at vi skal stå sammen og hver især være en lille del af den her forandring og bevægelse for en verden, for mennesker.